What's going on, guys? Graham GSM Matthews here, back with exclusive audio for NextAirWrestling.net and the YouTube channel. Usually I do wait until Wrestle Rant Radio on Thursdays, hashtag AskGSM on Wednesdays, even the random video blog on Fridays, which I did record only mere hours ago, earlier today. This news did come out just a few hours before I started recording right here. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday, July 7th, 2017, that Austin Aries was released from the WWE. It later came out via the Wrestling Observer newsletter, aka Dave Meltzer, that he had asked for his release, and he was granted his release shortly thereafter. So, no reason as to why confirmed right now. Speculation being that he was unhappy with his current spot in the company, maybe in the Cruiserweight division, having lost 3 times to Neville on pay-per-view. I'm not exactly sure, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but instant reaction, I'm very disappointed. With Austin Aries being one of my favorite wrestlers in the wrestling world right now, I could not have been more thrilled when he signed with NXT early last year. I could not even express to you the excitement that I had felt when I had read online that Austin Aries showed up in NXT, has been one of the best wrestlers in wrestling for well over a decade now, dating back to his time in Ring of Honor, then TNA, and now in NXT and WWE. He's only really been, again, as I had noted, in WWE for only about a year and a half. So he hasn't been here for over a decade. It's not like CM Punk where he was fed up with the system and he hadn't been pushed in over a year. I mean, the guy's only been with the company for a year and a half. So maybe we'll find out more from Austin Aries' camp later on. I know he just came out with a book, which I'm actually in the process of reading, so it's weird that he was released right now. The book only came out about a month ago. I got it right after it came out. I'm in the process of reading it. It's a great book so far. I'm about 50, maybe 100 pages in. I don't remember, but I'm like about halfway through the book. It's pretty damn good, so I look forward to finishing it at some point. Hopefully now that he's gone, I'm even more motivated to finish the book and see what he has to say about his wrestling career. And it was only recently written too, so maybe he has more thoughts in the book about when he plans to finish up wrestling. But I've seen some people say that he wanted to be happy on his way out of wrestling, that he didn't want to end his time in wrestling, unhappy, not doing something that he felt was fulfilling him, doing really nothing in WWE. But even before I get to that, the last time we saw Austin Aries, so here's the confusing thing. The last time we saw Austin Aries on WWE TV was a little over a month ago. Immediately following his loss to Neville at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, he showed up on 205 Live about 9 days later, said he was dealing with injuries. Now, prior to that, after the pay-per-view and before that appearance, he had said in some interview that he was dealing with injuries and he was taking time off from WWE. And even before that, after the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, he had tweeted that he needed to reassess whatever his life and evaluate his future choices or something along those lines, something very cryptic that I figured, okay, that's awesome, meaning that he'll probably either turn heel or show up in, a singles career on Raw or SmackDown. I think we all know what he was hinting at that point. He was probably even aware at that point that he was on his way out of the company in early June of last month. So a little over a month ago, he probably knew even by then that he was on his way out. And maybe that's what he was hinting toward in that interview that he did immediately following the event. And then he later denied those reports and said that he was not done wrestling, he wasn't taking time off, he was still wrestling on live events apparently, from what I read earlier. Even though, again, he said on 205 Live, and he's not been on the show since. I know he showed up like a week later in a random backstage segment with like fucking Jack Gallagher or something. So maybe they had plans to do a feud between those two. It went nowhere, obviously, because he's gone now. And maybe that was part of the problem. But he did say in that promo that he was dealing with a knee injury, which was probably a work, because he had been selling the knee for so long in that feud with Neville. That was probably a work. But he did say he was having problems with his neck. And if that wasn't legitimate, I don't know why he would have said that in the promo when he did. So that might have been part of the problem. Hell, his eye injury that he suffered late last year, the hands, or rather feet, of Shinsuke Nakamura, might have been part of the problem too. Maybe that's still hurting. He might not have been 100% by the time he was cleared to compete right before WrestleMania earlier this year. And I could not have been happier that I got to see one of his final great matches in the company. He wasn't in the company for that long, but I'm very happy I can say that he was, that I got to see his first and possibly only WrestleMania match against Neville, which was, in my opinion, one of the better matches of the night, and likely one of my favorites, my favorite match of the night too, from the WrestleMania kickoff show. But yeah, he did say in that promo on 205 Live that he was dealing with injuries. I'm not sure if he vowed that he would be back or not, I forget, but It was apparent that he wasn't happy. So again, the weird thing here is that you would think that he would wait it out a little longer. He only lost to Neville a month ago. And I've seen people say, oh, they're burying Austin Aries. They're not using him the right way. I do agree with the second sentiment that they weren't using him the right way. And I get why they put him in the division to begin with. They introduced him to WWE TV as a commentator for the Cruiserweights, then as part of the Cruiserweight division, and people were hot for him. He's a great wrestler. He's a great character. He's an awesome talker. One of the best in the business right now. But just, I don't know. I mean, he got 3 straight matches on pay-per-view for the championship against Neville. So it's not like he was brought in to immediately job to Aries WWE. It's not like he was losing every single week, people. So let's not get carried away here. So again, if they had told him flat out, we're not going to use you in a meaningful role, then I get why he would want to leave. But if not, I mean, it's up to him. At the end of the day, if he's not happy, you got to leave. But I feel like, and again, I'm not Austin Aries, so I don't want to speak for the guy, and we still have no idea if there's any other reasoning behind this. And his fiancée now works for the company. Thea Trinidad, I believe is how you pronounce it, the former Rosita from TNA. I know she's appearing in the new Page movie by Rock Studios company, whatever, in WWE Studios, a combined featured whatever film. And she's actually now making appearances on NXT. And I feel like, obviously, part of the reason she's part of the company was because Austin Aries put in a good word for her. And now that he's gone, I'm not sure what that means for her. I'm sure she sticks around, but still pretty strange, to say the least. But yeah, in terms of Austin Aries, he obviously had a future in singles competition beyond the Cruiserweight division. Now, if he thought, I'm going to be a Cruiserweight guy forever, then I get why he left. But again, he's only been on the main roster for 3 or 4 months as a wrestler. He only joined Raw, period, back in late December as a commentator. And even then, when he was out hurt for the past month, I thought he could have been he could have done a great service on commentary, doing commentary work for the Cruiserweights. That would have been awesome. But again, if he wants to finish out his career in the next few years, and maybe he is hurting, he is dealing with injuries, but he was still at the top of his game. I mean, the guy was still having great matches. You look back at his matches with Shinsuke Nakamura, with Neville, as I mentioned earlier, with even No Way Jose. I mean, those guys had a great match. I was there at TakeOver Brooklyn, too, late last year, in August of last year for NXT. Even that was an awesome match from No Way Jose, of all people. The guy hasn't had a memorable match since, but that match was pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. And we never got that Hideo Itami program because Aries got hurt, and then Hideo Itami got hurt, so we never got that feud. But very disappointing, to say the least, that Austin Aries has left the WWE. I will say this, though. On the bright side, I mean, there's so many matches we didn't get to see, and I'll dwell on that in a second. But on the bright side, I will say this. The company, yes, they did release him, but they were the ones who granted his release. It's not like it was a budget thing. And even people that they've cut, that they've wanted to cut in the past, guys like Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal, have come back. Even fucking Jinder, if Jinder Mahal of all people can come back to the company, I'm sure the door is still open for Austin Aries, who asked for his release. So maybe down the road he will be back. I would certainly hope so. There was so much more they could have done with him. I mean, when I saw that, I'm thinking maybe it's just me being optimistic, but I was really upset when Daniel Bryan got cut back in 2010. And I know that was more of a different situation where he had done something he wasn't supposed to, but it wasn't really his fault. So they brought him back into the fold after the controversy died down about 2 months later. Mauro Ranallo also came to mind, where the controversy was still at an all-time high with JBL a few months ago, and they brought him back. I mean, because he wanted to come back to NXT only about 2 months after that. So maybe we see Austin Aries back in the very near future. I honestly hope so. There's so much more they could be doing with him that they could have done with him, with guys like Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins and AJ Styles and guys like that. I mean, really, just really disappointing. He was not around for too long in WWE. It's cool to say he was in the company at all to begin with, and he had a couple of memorable matches. He got to wrestle at WrestleMania. He was a prominent pushed figure for a time in the Cruiserweight division. I still say that they should have had him beat Neville. I mean, I know Neville's doing so well right now. I did say Neville. I did predict and think that Neville should have won at Extreme Rules, so I'm not mad that Austin Aries lost, but maybe if he won the championship, Austin Aries wouldn't have left. And it just goes to show that even Austin Aries realizes that the 205 Live brand is dead. It's not going to work. And I know people are saying, oh, ECW didn't get over in a day and shit like that, but it's I saw Sean Daivari do an interview the other day, and I'm kind of going off topic here, but not really. It has to do with the cruiserweights, and Austin Aries was a cruiserweight in WWE from the moment he stepped on the main roster, that he arrived on the main roster. Sean Daivari, R.A. Daivari's older brother, obviously, did an interview where I thought it was so spot on, where he talked about 205 Live being like an extra hour of Raw. There's no variety. They need more variety with their wrestling styles, and that people thought that we were getting a cruiserweight show that it would be what the CWC was, which he admitted was amazing. And obviously, it hasn't been amazing. 205 Live is very watered down, it's very cookie cutter, it's very WWE produced, which is the absolute last thing that you want for an extra hour of wrestling, where already we get 5 hours of the same stuff every single week. And I will admit SmackDown is better than Raw more often than not, but at the end of the day, it's very much a WWE show. Like, you know you're watching a WWE show. NXT is a bit different. It's produced differently. It's a lot shorter. 205 Live, with the crowds they film in front of and just the way they tell the guys to wrestle, or not to wrestle rather, it feels very WWE produced. And that's the biggest problem with the show right now. If Austin Aries knew that there was no future for him on 205 Live, that's when you know it's bad. That's when you know it's bad. So I really hope that obviously they bring back Austin Aries. Austin Aries chooses to re-sign to the company down the road. And more importantly, for 205 Live, they either scrap it, they revamp it, they put it in front of it, a new crowd, or film it before SmackDown, or in front of Full Sail University. They got to do something. Because if Austin Aries knows it's a dead brand, that it's damaged goods, that being a part of the Cruiserweights is the kiss of death, then that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. Neville would be on his way out of the company if he wasn't champion right now, I'm sure. Because even he knows that he could be doing so much more elsewhere, where he's not being held down, or he's not being, there's not a stranglehold on him. It's just, I don't know, I find it very hard to believe that Austin Aries would be upset. I kind of get it, but not really. At the same time, just because it seemed like he was very grateful to be a part of the company a few months ago, and he was so happy to be at WrestleMania. That was only March. Again, I'm not talking like years ago when he joined the company, so I'm really hoping he's just taking time off to heal up from the injuries and to promote his book, which again, like I said earlier, I'm halfway through. It's a great book, so check it out and purchase it when you can. And then he'll be back at some point, God willing, on SmackDown, or at least on the main division, the heavyweight division, the normal division, as I guess you would call it, on Raw, because the 205 Live shit is just a slap in the face. And I'm sure Hideo Itami would not be far behind if he joined 205 Live and was given the same treatment. He would be gone too. I'm actually kind of shocked that Hideo Itami's still there. I love Hideo Itami, whatever. But he's another guy where it seems like they're not... right now he's in the midst of a heel push, which is great. Andrade Cien Almas is another guy. I thought he would quit well before Austin Aries, but he's still, sticking it through. He's still seeing it through, so... Maybe Austin Aries will see the light at the end of the tunnel and he'll go back to Ring of Honor, which I think would be great. It kind of surprised me that he did not do more dates with Ring of Honor when he initially left TNA in the summer of 2015. He did maybe one match, I heard, and that was it. And I know there was a long process for him to join NXT and whatnot, which he talked about in his book very briefly early on. So maybe he goes back to Ring of Honor. That would be awesome. He's been there already twice or three times already, so I'm not sure if he wants to do that. Him and TNA would be cool. GFW, Impact Wrestling, whatever the hell you want to call it. But even them, I've seen people say, go back to, TNA, whatever. It's like, dude, for the past 3 years that he was there, the last 3 years that he was in TNA, you talk about being underutilized in WWE. The guy was fucking wasted in TNA. He was wasted. He had an amazing moment, I think maybe 3 years ago today, or about almost exactly 5 years ago today, where he won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in this amazing match, one of my favorite TNA matches of all time, him and Bobby Roode at that Destination X show. Just an excellent event, and then this amazing main event, this phenomenal main event. And then beyond that, they did nothing with the guy. I know he had the whole tag team with Bobby Roode for a while, and he was X Division champion a bunch of times, but he was obviously spinning his wheels. They were doing next to nothing with the guy. So going back to GFW, even if there's new management, no interest there, but again, Ring of Honor would be cool. I've seen people say, New Japan, that would be interesting. I would love to, maybe just because I'm a WWE mark, that's really what it comes down to. I'm a WWE mark through and through, obviously. I want to see him back in the company and really give us the matches that we didn't see the first time. Him and AJ, I don't know. Him and Rollins, him and Joe. To me, it just feels like a missed opportunity. WWE really dropped the ball with Austin Aries. I'll say that much. Again, maybe part of it's on Aries. He left too soon before he could see it through. Maybe they would have brought him back to SmackDown or as part of the heavyweight division on Raw. We'll never really know because the guy left. So we'll see what happens. He has yet to speak, for himself and explain his actions as to why he left. He doesn't really need to explain anything. It's already apparent he's gone. If he wants to, offer an explanation, that's up to him. And nothing against him if he doesn't. But we'll see what's next for the future of Austin Aries going forward. I, for one, am very excited to find out. Very disappointed that he's gone from WWE, but more on this as it unfolds. If there's any further updates, and I'm sure there will be. In the days to come, I'll talk about it on #AskGSM next week, Wrestle Rant Radio on Thursday, and possibly the Random Video Blog on Friday. So, that being said, guys, thank you for checking out the exclusive audio here for NextEraWrestling.net. I thoroughly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video, drop a comment with your thoughts on the departure of Austin Aries from WWE. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, all that stuff means a lot. If you're listening to this on Next Era Wrestling, thank you for checking out the website. Check out all the other content on the website, including Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, Impact/GFW reviews, whatever they're being called this week, whatever their identity is today. Ring of Honor reviews, Lucha Underground reviews, you name it, I talk about it, NXT included as well. So check out all that stuff. Again, thoroughly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Thanks for checking out this exclusive audio, and I'll catch your ass down the road. Holy shit. I just literally got finished recording 30 seconds ago, and I go on Twitter and I find out AJ Styles won the United States Championship tonight at a Madison Square Garden SmackDown house show. The night just keeps on getting weirder. I'll see you guys later.